This is 10173A's 2022 to 2023 STEM Challenge submission.
Our planet's global temperature is constantly rising due to a steady increase of CO2 levels in our atmosphere. This is a huge problem for Earth's ecosystems and living organisms. As the future inheritors of this Earth, we feel a sense of responsibility to help improve and save our planet. The National Geographic magazine said that since 1906, the average surface temperature has increased by more than 0.9 degrees Celsius. Scientists predict that by 2050, 10 billion tons of CO2 will need to be removed annually, and 20 billion by the year 2100. We designed this machine to help combat climate change and reach this target.
We started by brainstorming possible ideas. We considered genetically engineering plants by using the mathematical scaling relationships of algae and bamboo stomata so they could absorb the maximum amount of CO2. In the end, we chose to solve our problem by using the tree's wide fractal pattern, which you can see in their branches, and by replicating geometrical shapes found in the stomata.
Replacing fossil fuels with renewable energy has become a very popular solution, but this still hasn't yet solved our CO2 emission problem. This is partly due to the fact that many are not always reliable. For example, solar energy and wind energy rely solely on weather conditions. There's also hydropower, which is reliable, but disturbs river habitats and fish population and forces the relocation of humans and animals.
We could also capture CO2 produced from factories and store it deep underground. A major concern with this is that CO2 could leak out of the underground reservoirs into the air and still contribute to climate change or taint nearby water supplies. We used existing solutions to improve our own design. A machine will be relatively cheap, extremely reliable, harmless to its surroundings, and not require a lot of space as it will be installed inside existing factories.
We decided to replicate dumbbell shoots found in grass stomata because its geometrical shape means that it has a higher diffusible area of stomatal pore than otherwise found in kidney-shaped stomata. They require a much smaller change in volume to produce a unit change in its opening's width, which results in a higher conductance, also known as gas exchange rates, therefore absorbing more CO2.
We also use fractals found in trees by making our design into a tree shape. We're repeating wide branches, which allows them to absorb the most sunlight and CO2 using the least amount of surface area. We decided to use these as in nature, fractals are used as efficient delivery systems. In trees, they're used to evenly distribute water. So we decided to use this concept to allow CO2 to be evenly distributed and be delivered efficiently through our machine.
Our machine has solar cells made up of a photocatalyst titanium, which we chose as it's cheap, environmentally friendly, and has high stability. We wrap this around the outside of our design to absorb the sunlight needed for artificial photosynthesis. Our design works by absorbing CO2 produced inside existing factories through artificial stomata that closes once sufficient CO2 is absorbed. It does this using CO2 sensors that detect a certain amount of CO2 and then trigger motors to open and close these artificial stomata doors, much like how an automatic door uses motion sensors to do the same thing. The CO2 then travels through tubes into this central stem, where the opening closes, trapping all this CO2 in this central area. It then reacts with water in the water tank to form methanol and oxygen, both of which are harmless substances. The other side then opens, releasing the oxygen and methanol through a tube where it can then be disposed of.